number 2. It's from my perspective, it's a beautiful picture. The color, the light. This is, in essence, what has really happened with humankind, mankind. As a result of science and telescopes and microscopes, investigating medicine, that the universe has become smaller, not just our world, but the universe. And we're able to see now much further with the Hubble telescope up there. And naturally he's bringing on good questions, better questions, and more profound thought also. And in some sense, throughout the ages, you may have heard that when one goes into a certain space, one can see a grid system above. A total grid system. A grid system of light connecting everything. A very sophisticated, intelligent grid system. It's you just have to be in a certain space to perceive this. And this is, in essence, the intelligence of the universe. That how everything is connected. There is a science in quantum physics that knows this, that everything is connected to everything else. Everything is within everything else. And there's reason, more and more reason to back it up. And naturally it's going to take thousands and thousands of years of more science to really develop more of an understanding of this. But the potential of the human mind to actually have this picture inside us, it's already in there, because we are of this universe. We are of this, these various dimensions, not only the grid system, but we are on Earth, and all that is placed inside us. We are made of it. So when a human being starts to expand one's horizon, starts to understand another human being, to understand ourselves, we start to become that astronaut automatically. And then when one expands enough, and one is the astronaut, where in essence our peripheral vision is encompassing the universe, encompassing our solar system, not just our world, not just Scotland, but England and Ireland, the United States and Africa and Asia. And it starts to, in essence, see the world is just not a competition from one country to the next, but now it is one world in competition with each other. The world has become smaller. And this is a very natural process in the evolution of just not business, but of the human being. But usually if it's not inert inside as a child to want to go out and to absorb all this, then if we don't get hit by lightning to activate it, then it takes the courage, the intent, and to raise the fires inside, to go out to bring it in, to seek it. Because what is peace? What activates and going in a direction and to find call it the rock of scone, the seed of it, or its birth. Where do I come from? Where do my words come from? I'm from what? And the price, not only to live, but to see what peace is this picture. It is just not nature, but to understand the nature, but what is behind the nature, what is behind the causes. And this is where metaphysical, religion, the spiritual starts to come into place. This picture is very simple. There isn't a tree, there isn't a lightning to reflect upon. There's an awful lot of spaciousness, a lot of quietness, a lot of, you could say, somewhat loneliness, and yet it is very profound. Great depth. A tremendous silence in this picture. Tremendous silence. Profound silence. And yet it speaks very, very loud, this picture. It actually even speaks louder than the lightning bolt. Because there is more silence in it. For we are used to turning our ears to something that we are familiar with. We're used to having the attraction of what our references can refer to. And what are the references of that neighbor that passed away in front of the other two neighbors? What are the references then? Well, there are references when I'm in deep silence in my meditation. And there is no more sound. Everyone is asleep. The dogs aren't even barking. The birds are quiet. Can't even hear the refrigerator anymore. Even the crickets are sleeping. And somehow, for some reason, even the nervous system seems to be quiet. What am I to hear now? To hear behind the sounds is this picture. To hear behind the sound of what we are familiar with. For the price to pay for peace is to hear behind the sounds. The sound that is very, very loud. The profoundness that we can't control, can't sell. And the most words can do with it is to put it in a poem. Sing of it. Then they can touch it to some degree. For when one understands the peace, then it is this picture that one can put in one's back pocket this picture shows it. But between the left brain and the right brain, there is peace with each other. Between the human beings and the nature, there is peace. Between the light of darkness and the light of light, there is peace. Between all the questions and all the answers, there is peace. Between all the hopelessness and all the hope, there is peace. That is this picture. Between all the beauty that is seen and known and all that cannot see because of the great depth of silence and space in this picture, there is peace. That is this picture. For there's really nothing stronger than this picture. In essence, do not need the light from above, yet it helped. Do not need a mirror to see the tree, to see myself, to know that I am, to know where my feet are. Do not need the lightning to catch my attention, to wake me up, to startle me, to activate me, to move me. Just as is this picture. No breeze, no leaves flying, no flies to bug me, no hunger and no want. There is no cause, even the maze is at peace with itself. The world and the light in this picture is at peace with itself. It is what it is. A picture that is not number 1. It is not number 4. It is not number 3. It is number 2. Nothing to change, nothing to add. No fireworks, no storms. Peace, peace, peace. Do not have to be. do not have to even try to be. Well, that space in each of us is very much like this picture. No causes, just is. Find this space inside you. And there are many things in this world like this picture. Find them and use them. If we have something externally, reflective light to bounce back in to help find that space. And in time, we can commute quite easily by going to work to find that space. Because to be anxious all day is not too healthy. To be in a rush all day, it's not too healthy. Our gut feeling. Women are more tuned into it than us men. But the gut feeling is not an intuition. Intuition, you're gambling. You don't want to gamble. A gut feeling there's no gambling. You don't try to stick a word on it. You know, my son, you know, when kids, when they're eating bread, and most of them, from a very early age, they won't eat the crust at all. They'll just eat it, you know. And the parents are saying, there are thousands and thousands of kids out there starving. Eat the whole thing. I have worked real hard for you. Don't waste food. You're wasting food. You know, eat the whole plate. And one scientist, you know, because of all the parents totally frustrated, you know, because the kids are wasting this food and why are they doing this? It doesn't make any sense at all. It's senseless, and I like it. It's crusty and it's wonderful and it's good, you know, and I love the crust. Only adults love the crust. And the scientist finally went in there and why do they do this? And found out that there are no nutriments in the crust. It's a waste. Senseless to eat the crust. Eat what is good for you. They're using their gut feeling. They're not using their intuition. They're not gambling. They're using something that is of nature, that is natural, that they naturally just know. They don't have to know why. They know. This is connected to the rawness of life, life forces. This is connected, let's say, to the lightning. The lightning is always in constant. It has always a continuous value. It's always active here. So since naturally children are just naturally in it, they know what's good naturally without even intellectually knowing why. And all kinds of various yogic practices, they use this. But most of them use the breath to coincide with it, to bring it under, not control. They use the word control, but let's say to bring it more into its natural balance. It's not to control it, just to bring more into its natural balance. And so we're going to do this. You know that when our mother is alive, that we are connected with our mother here. Can you imagine living, we're connected here. And they're living that whole lifetime, the 9 months, which is a whole lifetime, and the umbilical cord connected. That's why our mothers can press any kind of a button she wishes on the kids, and we can do nothing but react to it. But not with the father, because of this. And again, this goes back to the mother, to the mother, to mother, and then it goes back to nature and the earth, and that's why we call her the mother. Well, if it is such a powerful force, now working with the father is up here. Completely different factor. But being Western people and having our very stressful jobs, it's not easy working, dealing with people. That there are ways to connect and find oneself here. A lot quicker, a lot easier, and it's not something that you practice, I think you understand where I'm coming from. It is very much like trying to teach someone to pray. You can't teach someone to pray. You can teach them how to memorize the prayer, and you can teach them how to hold the hands and why you do this and why you do that. But are you really praying? Because the prayer it's a very rare thing that happens in one's life. It's when all the doors open, when the door of the heart is open and you're connected, then prayer happens. I can only pray very few times still throughout the year. I can't pray all the time. I understand what it takes, but when it's there, I will go pray. And the rest of it, it's preparing and working and getting ready, but always being on guard for when that situation happens. As it is with this, with peace. Because we are always connected here, right here in the belly. There's something wonderful about the hands, and one of these days we'll do it. We'll show you that we are more our hands than our face. We are more our hands than anything else. The most wonderful, wonderful tool, the most wonderful being is our hands. When one has an intent, because this peace, this uncaused light, which is, you say, the creator of all caused light, It's almost invisible, difficult to touch. We can hear about it. Every now and then we can touch it. We have an experience of it. But when one finds one's, let's say, that particular space, all you have to do is just put your hand anywhere in this area, like this. And to be in this space. The heart and all the anxiety, all the tension, usually it all resides within here. But most of it's blocked right here in the solar plexus. This is a great wall of China, you could call it. And this is what holds the subconscious from, let's say, rising up into the conscious mind here, this great wall here. It's a very necessary wall, though. And it shouldn't be just broken down any time, any place. It should be broken down or taken down brick by brick or transformed with care and respect. But when there is that particular time and space and softness, like sometimes you see me go into it, and we all go into it. Put your hand in the space here. And your mind is quiet to whatever degree. You bring it down. You're holding picture 2. The maze and the earth, your life. You're holding the earth, the mother. You bring it down to Father. In that particular space and time, you can find yourself. It is like the seat of your awareness, the seat of your presence, the seat of your consciousness can come down, like you're just coming down, like you're descending. In your hands, the most beautiful parts, bringing it down in space. Peace unto me. Peace unto me. Peace unto me. Peace unto me. Peace. And naturally, when you do it and you take it up, do it privately. Do it privately. You're going to find watch when you let go, there's no control. You're not trying to control it. You're not trying to do it. It's relaxed. Peace. Peace. I'm going to have the rest of the day off. But, work this picture all day. This is the picture. Contemplate peace. The quiet day. Today. The hidden picture. Tomorrow morning at 10. Throughout all these years, in the very beginning, people came because they wanted to be healed, or get a headache taken away, cancer removed, all kinds of various reasons. And my plan and my purpose, that's not in my plan and my purpose. Because once you understand illness, and once you understand having something wrong with the body, or something that is kind of like wrong with the mind and it's psychosomatic, it is actually very much like a restaurant, owning a restaurant. People always come back to eat, as it is with illness. Because we have a body, period. Because we have a body, our stomachs will always get hungry. You can't stop it. And sometimes we don't have to eat all day, we're fine. We don't need to eat all day when we have good energy, sometimes for days. But eventually we've got to eat. And it's because of the world we're living in, and with the flesh and the bones. And as it is for illness too. That we live amongst bacteria and viruses also. There's no getting away from it whatsoever. There are people that have done documentaries on the micro world that we're living in. The micro world in our bathrooms, in our kitchens, the bacteria and the viruses and the little tiny bugs that live in our bed, and even the little bugs that live on the eyelashes. We have little bugs that even live on our eyelashes. This is their home. This is their universe. Little tiny little creatures, and they have very, very, very ugly faces. And so for a whole week I was. And this was a particular time and phase that I went to years ago, and it was funny what I went through to go through this, because I wanted to be healed too. I had lots of problems, a lot of bodily problems, real medical problems, and so it was my utmost concern. And it wasn't until I actually got into that profession of working with ill people. And I grew up in the restaurant business. My father owned a restaurant, and so he had his children cleaning the floors, and we were the janitors, and the toilet cleaners, and the busboys, and the kitchen help, especially the dishwasher. And so we got to watch people, my whole young life, people coming in and out of the restaurant to eat, but don't think much of it until I started something like 20, 25 years later, after I left that industry and walked into the industry of working with ill people. And I thought it just is a completely different field, and it's not at all. Same thing. It's just that the business patterns are different, and the intent has a different intent. But you still get customers, an endless supply of customers that are always coming in. Instead of the stomach being hungry, it hurts. And watching this come in. And something that happened, I just wasn't working on a basis of what I was educated for, which was biofeedback. And then I got educated in auricular therapy, working with acupuncture of the ear, but I used a small microcurrent electricity, milliamperes. You could hardly feel the electrical activity. It's so small. It's a millionth of a volt. But this is what I would use. I would use electroacupuncture, and then I do biofeedback and various relaxation. So I didn't really work in the real medical illness part. I got the people right in the middle, to get them relaxed so they're not as ill, or help them remove their pain. And that's what I became well acquainted with working with people's pain. I would go into hospital, they would call me there, and I would work with severe chronic pain and pain that was acute. And after some time during this period, there were a lot of people being, let's say, good results. And the results were so good that people were coming in from all over America to come see me. And in my practice, well, I was totally full. And the other doctors that were in the practice, they weren't full at all. They only had their patients from within the town, and mine were flying in from all over the place. And I just thought it was a biofeedback and a regular therapy. And I was very young at this, and one of my business associates, which was a psychiatrist, a psychiatrist that was a little out of the ordinary. You know, I think most psychiatrists are a little. But this one was really in touch, and very, very much in touch, without any arrogance or pride. And it was very, very simple. And I was talking in his office one day, and he, and he always treated me like a friend, so I didn't feel like I was a patient of his. But here's his doctor, and I'm still very young, and I really looked up to him, and I could see he was assessing me because of my practice. I had just started, maybe 6-7 months, and already people were coming in from all over the country, and they were getting healed. Knees all of a sudden, no pain and no back pain, and the reputation was real strong, and he could see that I was ignorant about my situation. And he said, why do you think so many people are coming to you? Oh, the biofeedback, because the biofeedback at that time, I got in it right when it started, right in the very, very beginning of it. I was one of the first in America to do biofeedback. And also auricular therapy was somewhat new also. And I was attributing to that. And he said, no, it's you. I said, oh, no, it's biofeedback. No, it's you. And then I got a little irritated. No, it's biofeedback. It's really, if you only know what it does, and because when you do this, it activates this part of the brain, and this brain touches this, and then it releases these hormones, and it activates them, no, it's you. And so I was confused. And this went on for some time, and I completely didn't want to hear what he had to say, because it was something about healing had to do with something that is very scientific, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was very enthusiastic about the industry of biofeedback and auricular therapy, because the results were so good. And the people were so wonderful. And so since the practice was barely a year old, these patients that were coming in, they were, a lot of them had no more problems anymore. But then the next year, I saw them back again with something totally different. Oh, something else happened. Another injury, or this, or that, and they're back again. Okay, that's the way it is. That's all. They're gone. And third year, they're back again with something else. What? And it started reminding me of customers at the restaurant. Lunch and dinner. They'd come back for lunch the next day and come back, maybe for dinner. The turnstile. And then I began to see, wait a minute here. And it began to affect me personally because of my investment that I had and the training that I had in biofeedback and in regular therapy. And this affected me personally. It kind of like something wasn't quite working right. So it's like, it's always going to be there. Things are always going to, people are always going to be coming back around, and that's what I did too. I remember this is what I was doing when I was ill. Always coming back for something else, something else, something else, something else. And so this really has an awful lot, to do with me. Maybe it's not the biofeedback. Because I did that also. A very, very personal relationship started to hit me about patients, doctors, biofeedback technicians, restaurant owners. Because a good therapist, a good doctor is very much the same thing as a good cook. You go back to the same restaurant because of a good cook, or you have a wonderful waitress or a waiter or a good management that you enjoy. And somehow it kind of like attracts you back, it brings people back. Good for business. And in the restaurant, I was good with people. I loved working with people. I had no problems with that, cleaning tables. And it reminded me of a personality, because we had friends whose fathers owned other restaurants and they weren't doing so well. It was because they were always angry at customers. Customers weren't behaving, and they were angry at the employees, and they had a bad day. And in our family, people were usually happy with the customers. It was basically the cooks that made the relationship, that really made the restaurant. And we just followed them. And so this brought it back to home. Because there were other biofeedback technicians that weren't successful. And there were many regular therapy therapists that just wasn't working with other therapists. I started to put this two and two together. And I wanted I grew up with nothing else in mind other than to own and run restaurants, to work with people. But I found out that there was something more in life. There had to be something more in life, and I went out to go seek that. And now I thought I had found my profession. And now I find I have found another restaurant. I found what illness is very much like the stomach. It's like we get caught. That the most important thing is my illness. And something will come back, something will come about, something new, a new virus, you hit your knee, you got bumped in a car accident. Is this all there is? And I saw how at least our society was totally trapped in this, and wanting to be healed. And I was contributing to this because whatever I was doing, which I thought was a biofeedback, but I realized it was me later on that was doing it. And I was contributing to that, and I didn't want to. That's not my objective. See, because in the package of being born in any species, anything from an ant to a spider to a fish to a human being, it's one thing to really recognize as a human being, not just to recognize the stop signs and stoplights and how much is a pound and what is it worth and what it can buy. But the environment, what is the environment that this lifetime is living in? Amongst who? What other species am I involved in? Viruses and bacteria and other people and stresses. Tremendous stresses coming from many, many angles. Business, family, self-stress. Magnetic stress, having to stand up every day, all day long. Stress of the heart, cholesterol. Stress of lifting up my right arm to brush my hair. Not wanting to listen to somebody, or I've heard that too many times, or give me some peace, or give me an answer. Kind of like all goes with the package of what it is to be a species. Just one particular species living in nature, but to understand the nature of this environment. Because there has to be more to life. Than just getting ill. There has to be more to life than just having a wonderful day. A very odd thing. When I was young, came across various stories of people who had given up their lives for someone else's life. Literally given it up. And it's kind of like someone with a butter knife cutting a hole through the sky. Just kind of ripping out your perspective of life. Gave your life. What does that mean? When the gun is at our head, I will find out who I am then. Walking here on the streets, I met the janitor, and he's kind of getting a feel for what's happening here. And he said he saw this little article, and he's a real tall man, so he was standing on the street, and I was standing on the curb, so I was almost eye to eye. And so he was bending down, and he was saying that this little article says, one will not learn to live until one dies. And then it took me back because I had so many debilitating illnesses in my life, and it was such a major focal point. And I know you want nothing else mattered other than to take care of this. And during this time, I wondered what kind of a person was I? How whole was I during this period? Totally lost in it. I have a sister that is 2 years younger than me who's dying right now. Because we had the same diseases, actually. She caught the disease before I did, and she continued to carry it on her whole life. And with me, it went away. And now, she should have died 20 years ago. She really should have. And nobody knows why she's still alive. And now she's like pumped up this big because of all the cortisone that is in her body, that she takes massive amounts of cortisone. And because she bought this system of wanting to be healed on a daily basis, that was a major focal point. And she talked me into it, this lady, when in my early 20s, that I had the same disease. And she was already gravely sick during this time. Go to the doctor. You really have the same symptoms. My gums are black, my elbows are black, all my knuckles were all black. It was Addison's disease, where the adrenal was just, just stopped functioning. And she finally talked me into it. I got it too. But I saw what was happening to her during this time, how she was just so involved in it. And my mother supported it wholeheartedly. Then they don't have to fight. They got something else to focus on. Because they had terrible fights, and that's what really started this whole thing. Terrible fights. And the only way they could communicate was through illness, great distraction. But something inside me says, don't, even though the doctor, and I had another test, it's definite, you got it, it's severe, you got to start. I didn't want to start on the medication. I didn't want to get caught in that trap. Because something inside me told me there's something more to life than just the disease, than just for that. Keep seeking it. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. But I bowed down for a couple of years and took the medication and bought it. The pressure, I was too young, the pressure was too much. The severity was too much. But that little voice inside, that magnet pulling me into a certain direction, but there's something more to life than this. I knew I was trapped, and the bear trap was immense around my ankles. I knew there's still something more than just being ill. So I'm going to go back to the doctor. If it's not Addison's, it's going to be a cold. And then it was turning into diabetes, and then eventually I had diabetes too. Now I'm taking insulin for that, cortisone for this. And pretty soon it's going to be something else. But something inside said there's something more to life than just that. And the hardcore evidence of my elbows and my knuckles black. My mother, she was embarrassed by me because she thought I never would wash myself because my elbows were so black, and we were raised in a high desert, and so everybody wears short-sleeve shirts, so it's very warm. And so in here, my elbows were so black, and I was embarrassed by them. And so what I would always do is, and I still do it, and I would kind of lift up my arms like this, so I don't show you the black in my elbows, because people would always say, "Hey, you gotta wash your elbows, man." And I would get cleanser, Comet and Ajax, and rub them until they started to bleed to get it out. But they would never go away, and I never could understand it. that's what Addison's does. It darkens these areas. And it was very hard for my little brain to come to terms with this hardcore fact on my skin, and yet something inside is gnawing on me, saying there's something more to life. Until reached a point in time that I surrendered to it. Totally surrendered to the situation. I didn't want my whole life to be a customer. There had to be more meaning to it. And all my sister can talk about is going to the doctors. What the doctor says, what medication I have to take. That's her total conversation. Totally wrapped in illness. Her whole vocabulary is now totally wrapped around, like when you first have children in the very early age, how your vocabulary reduces down to a few short words. Don't, stop, close the door, I don't know, give me some peace, go pee-pee. It gets ridiculous. It's amazing just what it does. As it is. As it is for my wonderful sister, who didn't have a chance. And it is very much like Braveheart. I saw the movie Cromwell last night, and I never heard of Cromwell, but Cromwell was very much like Braveheart, an individual who stood on his own 2 feet to change the course. And really went against his own people even in Parliament. They even turned. It's hard for one to stand alone and to stay with yourself, to stay with what your real value and what the real dream is. Against it all, against bacteria and viruses, and even what true signs are. That I am more than the flesh. I am more than the bones. I am more than my illness. I am more than my happiness. I am more than my joy. I am more than my dreams. I may not see you. I may not even hear you. But I can sense you, and I can feel you even though it's very, very faint. You can take away the sun, you can take away the moon. You can fill my body with cancer, or you can fill it with joy. But I will never turn my eyes away from you. I will always know that you are there. Put me into war. Put me in a bed. Put me under the sea. Or put me in a cloud. Put me in the grave, or put me asleep. But give me time and I will find you again. For I will look under every rock. I will look behind every corner. I will seek you behind every letter. I will seek out every form of light and sound. Blind me. Put earplugs in my ears. But give me time and I will still find you. Take away all my senses, but give me time and I will still find you. Rip the skin away, and yet I will still feel you. For this is the drive. This is the drive it takes. These are the feelings that it takes. It doesn't matter how many sticks and stones there are. Doesn't matter how many zeros or numbers there are. Doesn't matter how many days or how many lifetimes there are. As it is in that picture number 2. Somehow there's a twilight in between illness and healthiness, as it is between living a life and passing away, as a twilight between awaking and going to sleep, as it is the twilight before the sun breaks through the clouds, as a twilight between the inhale and the exhale, as a twilight as the eye blinks, as a twilight between a thought and no thought. You will find what you are looking for. It is not on the left side, and it's not on the right. It is not the left brain, nor the right brain. Somehow, in the twilight in between, and to have enough courage to transcend that. Or you take away my left brain, how would I think? You take away my right brain, how will I dance? And to have the faith that you still will. As it is yesterday, touching that space inside to find that peace that all sentient beings have. You don't have to work for it, you don't even have to pay for it. It is there regardless. To have the feelings, to have the motivation, the drive, or to have the luck to locate it, to find it. Oh, this is also me, too. Not just the one who stresses out, not just the one who is confused, not just the one who is happy and full of joy, but this tremendous peace inside.
Surrender to the evidence. How do you do
that? The question is, when I talked about that I surrendered, how do you do that? What does the word surrender mean to you? I give. But what are the circumstances? Huh? That's how we think about it. Huh? And it's a very funny thing when we get beaten down by having eaten for maybe a lunch, a dinner, and then a breakfast, and then we start to give a lot easier, don't we? This rules. But when this is full, I give, but and that's usually the case. And so we got to really understand how surrender works and how it works with the mind. It's a very tricky thing. And so many Westerners have been so confused because so many Eastern ways of talking about how to reach it is to surrender. Let it go, give up. Wait a minute here. There's a lot more involved here. Especially, Scots don't give up. They may be forced to bow, but how could you just be nice people and do what the English want? Be a good neighbor. Stubborn. Right. Stubborn. Right. The major ingredient to surrender. Whoa. That's right. A major ingredient to truly, truly surrender. Whoa. That's what it takes. If you don't have that stubbornness and you surrender. Have you ever seen a most beautiful, especially when you haven't had a breakfast or lunch and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it's very, very hot that day and you're in Greece and somebody gives you a nice ice cream cone, and there it is and it's cold and and it's frozen, and it's melting right before your eyes, and somehow you can't bring it to your mouth, and it just melts, and it's all. That's what happens to a human being when they don't have that stubbornness. It's not a pretty picture. It looks pretty, but it's not. The stubbornness, the ice cream will not melt. It's supposed to, and that's what pissed off the British. Stubbornness and surrender seem opposite. Yes, life is a paradox. Ooh. We have to get much smarter with this. You can't put stubbornness in your pocket, can you? You can't sell it. You can hardly write about it. These are, again, this is something that's, it's a very rare quality of a human being. Extremely rare quality. It has affected all of us, in a very dramatic way, and yet somewhat, it's intangible. You can't quite grasp it. There's not much you can do with it, but boy, it can really have dramatic effects. And logic doesn't like it. Reason doesn't like it. If it's not really good, wholesome, healthy reason and logic, stubbornness. Stubbornness. Ice cream will not melt. They will not bow. But we've been taught differently, haven't we? Like this. That's why we always bump heads. People always bumping heads. Countries bumping heads. Stubbornness.
And it's...
Remember throughout the years, the best students are the ones that initially resisted dramatically and with force, because they don't know. And they really want to know, but they're going to resist until they know, until they really, really know. And then they're the best. They will not bend. But the ones, again, that melt very quickly, unless they already have that knowingness. And then you could say that the people who don't have that that foundation inside, they will bend for anything in front of them. Because there are storms in this world, many forms of light, many forms of expression in letters, and to have the courage and the will to continue to go on, so you don't end up selling your mother just because your life is at stake. But really, you follow your heart and not your, let's say, your reason, so to speak. So it takes a stubbornness to get there. A tremendous stubbornness. Because people, look how we have been taught. We have been taught to distrust each other to such a degree. It's such an invisible contract in our school system, in most relationships, in most families, to distrust your neighbor, distrust a teacher, distrust and yet, there's a trust. Oh yeah, she's right. But. And so naturally, everybody has all these walls built up. The only thing that we kind of like let in is what we kind of like think. But do we really know what to let in? Do we really know what is really, let's say, has some reality to it? With all this great distrust going in and forming our reasons and our mind and our thinking and behaviors. And so there are so many people, so many young people. I talk to so many. They already have formulated this great distrust. And they've come to terms with it, and they don't like it, and they're very alone with it, and they can't do anything about it, but they keep searching. With this distrust built up, and they know they can already feel it. It's already built up there. Just that most of us, when we start to reach a certain age, it doesn't exist anymore because it's been there for so long, so many years, now it's a part of us. But for the young, it's not. It's still fresh. The walls are still fresh. The mortar is still fresh. And yet, keep searching. Keep searching. And one day, I hope I can take down the stones. I hope. And to have this stubbornness. Don't give up too easily. Be careful. Don't surrender. Surrender to what? Be very, very careful, and that is true. We have to be. This is the world we're living in. It's healthy to have these walls, but to know of the walls. Or to have the peace and to know the tree. In this world, and to take down the walls in this world, one has to surrender, we could say. By understanding the predicament, first of all. One has to truly understand what the predicament is of the world we are living in. Understanding the facts, putting the facts together. And the facts are, and this is where hope and faith is so important. Like these young people, they're so aware of the newly built walls, but not trusting. And hope and faith that they will find it. Because my father didn't find it, my mother didn't find it. I can see my older brother or my older sister, they didn't find it. That movie, how it brought such a personal, you know, using that bridge, it brought something into their lives. It made the tree stand out more and made it very, very personal. It took that out of the conceptual, the labelized concept of what world is and experiences. And it used hurt and pain. It used situation and beauty into their experiences, and they started to become it and not just think of it. Because people, we think we are a thought. We think we are the word. We think we are that sound of these thoughts. We think we are the hurt. We think we are that disease. We think we are that pain. We're totally identified with all these various things without putting the whole together. More than my frustration, more than my anger. And to surrender my frustration, to surrender my anger, who am I surrendering to? To what? What will I gain? What will I lose? Do I really have to die to really know what it is to live? Surrender. And yet what really dies is not the body, people. It is our concepts. It is our identification with our hurt and our pain, our neuroses, our ignorance, our fear, our lack of hope, our naiveness. Our complacencies. To fight for your life, for I have weaved the armor of hopelessness into this. I have weaved into my armor of distrust. And yet I know in many, many levels how necessary it is. But when something is there in front of me, will I have the discretion or the courage to really know it? that I can trust or really not trust what stands in front of me. And like the children, with their gut, they know the nutrition is not in the crust, it's in the center. What reason do I need? I have my gut. But can I listen to my gut with my reason and my thoughts saying otherwise? This is what faith and hope, to bring us back down to our gut. So we don't have to try, just do. Where spontaneity is natural and normal, without reasoning it out. What do I gain? What's my profit? Will I get hurt? Well, you see, learning to surrender is very much a story. It's your book. And how do you want others to read your book? Or how would you like a child to read your book? So the child could also follow and learn and grow from it. As it is a surrender to be conceived, and another surrender to go through the canal into this world. As it is a surrender to go into your sleep. As it is a surrender to let go of your exhale. As it is a surrender to know that you do love that person. As it is a surrender to know that you do have His peace inside you. As it is to surrender to know and to realize that you are kind too. As it is to surrender to really know, to realize that you are not naive as you thought. Or to really surrender, where you realize that you have already been born. start writing your book of life and how you would like for a child to read your book of life. And you will find the signs, and you will find the way and the means, what it is, what it means to surrender. So that child can have a happier life, a more productive, with more wisdom and grace. So I ask, start writing your book. How will it read? Let's take a break. I'm not discounting the fact that when people do come to this, the fire dance, or various times through the workshops, that some form of healing has taken place for many people. It kind of goes with the package. My personal emphasis is to teach that, yeah, when a headache is there, the utmost thing is the headache, because it dominates the senses. And so, as a student, the student has got to learn that we're dealing with the senses in our world, with our body. We're dealing with the senses. And people identify with these senses. They think that they are the senses themselves, the five senses. And when we totally identify with these senses, and then we attribute it to cause and effect, this is how we can get lost in ourselves. And the good student knows that, my God, this is not an easy thing. It's kind of like you're in a chariot, and each horse is one of the senses, the ears and the sight, and these are wild horses. It's of nature, huh? They have their own way of perceiving and looking at life due to nature. All this is a result of nature. And we're kind of like using this body through nature to see. A discarnate spirit cannot see this world as a human being can see this world. A discarnate spirit cannot see the earth. A person that is not embodied. A spirit has to look through the human being's eyes to gain some form and view of this world. That's how it works. And that's how, in essence, some people are used, you could say. But in order to really be used, you kind of have to, it's almost like living on the streets, where you're a little bit off. You don't have a sense of yourself. So you're easily used by the senses. And then one can be used. A child can be used quite easily. So a student realizes that first I got to identify the senses. And then in what major sense do I identify with? Where do I usually get trapped? Where do I usually go to when things go wrong? And it pulls me into that direction. If I were to let the horses go, which I can't, because that means I'll be leaving this planet. You don't want to do that. I got these horses for a reason, a very good reason. It's learning to drive the horses so, they all kind of like work together. But to understand it's a horse, it's a sense. And then the driver, to drive these senses. And yet the chariot to go at a particular speed where everything starts to be smooth. And then you begin, it's like driving a car, and then all of a sudden you can start to take off once you learn to drive the car. You can start to relax once you learn to drive the car. It's basically the same thing. Or a bicycle. Then you start to have fun. Then you can start to really be wild with the horses, because they love it, and you can start to let go. But when they know you don't know how to drive the car, or how to drive the chariot, it gets a little crazy, because the horses know. They really do know. And one of the best ways to understand this is really go learn to ride a horse. The horses are so sensitive. They're so sensitive. They're so keen to the human senses. They know what you know before you know what you know. Because they are in their gut. And good horseback riders and trainers know this. They know that you can't fool a horse. Don't try to play games with the horse. You can break the horse's spirit, but what do you got? And so a good horse trainer, a good rider knows, get honest with yourself. Get really, really honest with your senses and yourself. And the ride will become wonderful. But you have a little ulterior motive with one of the senses, the horse has got you. Horse knows. Okay. And that's what we're riding on, our senses. And surrender, it's not to wipe away, kill the horses, to let the horses go and roam free. This is how we are as a species. And we have to feed ourselves, We know what happens when someone corners us, when someone doesn't give us the nourishment, the food, This brings us down to the tree. Lack a few minerals, it can upset all the horses. If one of the horses get ill, if the rider who's controlling it gets ill, everybody gets affected. So we need good medicine, good common sense, know when to go to the doctors, to get educated with this as much as possible. You can't be real spiritual, so to speak, with hungry horses. It won't do you any good. And it's very difficult to be spiritual with a sick horse. And yet the comfort of a charioteer can help with the illness of one of these senses, of an organ, or some feelings of the heart, or a stomach ache. In the last tour, I'm sure I talked about it in Scotland, my son in America, he went with some other young men for their first vision quest. And I think there were 3 days out there. And there was no food. And then they all got to write about their experiences on a vision quest, go get a vision. And they're all, I think, around the ages of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And what dominated the people, the young man's mind was hunger. They were so hungry. It just dominated the whole thing. And it makes one think. This is what the Buddha also realized. And yes, the spirit can say no to the stomach. I will not feed you. I will show that I am more than the stomach. I will show you that I could withstand. The body can let go, pass away and die, and I will still be. I will still live. And for some odd reason, the Buddha realized the nature of the tree, the beauty of the tree, the beauty of one of the horses, all the horses. The beauty of what it is to live, to have the experience that doesn't last too long, 80 years, 60 years, or even 2 days. It is a gift unto itself. And to be moderate and not extreme with the wild horses of nature. To be compassionate. It is not to suffer, and one does not need to. One can eat and still truly surrender. And all these teachings are really based on surrendering. That's what it's based on. You could say the long walk to understand that. But when one prostrates oneself, when one bows down to it, one, you could say, will die standing up like Yogananda did. To die sitting up, to die with eyes open, to pass away alive. For once you find that peace in you, and you realize it always has been there, you will also realize that Yogananda, you'll have that part too inside you. And that was the beauty of the Buddha and also Jesus. That part is in there too. Someone, one turn the picture this way and relates to it this way. Yes. 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 And in all these pictures, you can also turn it around and, yes, relate with it. It changes the whole idea of it. Peace to your heart. Peace to your heart. Peace to your mind. Peace to your mind. Peace to your mind. Peace to your heart. Peace to your heart. Peace to your heart. Peace to your mind. Peace to your mind. Peace
We have walked thousands and thousands of miles. We have heard many words, and we have seen many things. We have thought many thoughts, and we have touched many. We have built and destroyed. We have spoken and have been silent. We have scraped our knees, and we have tasted the freshness of water. We have had a hard heart, and we have felt the heat of the sun. We have been cold to the bone, and we have loved. We have cried for laughter's sake. And we have filled our bellies, sometimes too much. We have brushed our hair. We have dreamt many dreams. We have read many books, and we've had many answers. We have walked through many doors, and we have climbed down stairs. We have walked into darkness. And we've had breakfast too. We've had our favorite colors. We also had our hard times too. We have given up many times and shaken someone's hand too. All is to be put in a book, even a story or two. Most of it will disappear like a cloud into the atmosphere, never to be told or seen again. There's many ways to think, many angles to perceive. There are many, many rights and also wrongs too. There are many ways to speak of it. And there are many forms to dance. No sunset is the same. As it is for us. And all who has done this for each of us for what is in our hearts is to see the face of this. will see that it is also your face. And the heart you were seeking is your heart. And the handshake you were seeking is your hands. And the comfort you were seeking is your own comfort. And the love you wanted, you already had. Niente. Peace to your life. Peace to your life. Peace to your life. Back at 3.